By the Town of Woodbury Town Board. We'll begin the meeting by standing for the pledge. Those of you who wish to speak have the opportunity on your way in to sign up. We'll have a break, one more break during this meeting for those who want to sign up later on, and then you'll be able to exercise that right as we go through the program. This is normally our regularly scheduled town board workshop meeting. So we're going to open this meeting at this point for a public hearing on a resort gambling facility presented by Caesars Entertainment and Flown Management. I would like to start out by thanking the school district for making this facility available for us. I'm going to ask our attorney in a moment to read the public notice. But let me introduce the members of the town board. Sitting next to me, Lynn Presley. Sitting next to Lynn, Bob Hunter. Then comes Tim Marone, and at the end of the table is Frank Palermo. We also have at the table our attorneys representing the town, Eric Osingat and Joe McKay. So at this point, I'm going to ask Joe McKay to read the public notice. Thank you.
Town of Woodbury notice of public hearing regarding a resort gambling facility by Caesars Entertainment Corporation and Flown Management Company, Inc., proposed to be located in the town of Woodbury. Please take notice that on Monday, the 2nd day of June 2014, at 7:30 p.m., or soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, there will be a public hearing before the town board of the town of Woodbury at the Central Valley Elementary School, 45 State Route 32, Central Valley, New York, concerning a proposed application by Caesars Entertainment Corporation and Flown Management Company, Inc., to construct a destination resort gambling facility in the town on a site of approximately 121 acres, known as Parcel/Site A of the Interchange Commerce Center development, located east of New York State Route 17, between the Harriman train station to the south and the former Nepera property to the north, and known on the Woodbury tax map as Section 243, Block 1, Lots 1 through 25. The purpose of this public hearing is, 1, to have the applicants present to the town board and the public their proposal that includes a resort hotel, a casino gambling area, restaurants, and convention center, and 2, for the town board to make inquiry of the applicants and to receive public input on the proposal. A copy of the public hearing notice was published in the Times Herald Record on May 23rd, 2014.
Just to review momentarily, it is the board's intention to have everybody present this evening. If they wish to step up and speak, make comments, feel free to do so. I'm not the kind of a person that operates with the clock, but I ask us to use our common sense, make your points, and then we'll try to respond to them, or the the developer will try to respond to them if some of the questions are addressed in their area. Now, what we'll do is the board will now remove itself from the stage. We'll sit in the front row and we will observe the presentation that's going to be presented by Flower Management, but especially Caesars. So just give us a moment to sit down and get ourselves settled. And then who's going to be representing? Who's going to speak first? Asher, you going to speak first? Okay, Asher, when you get up and introduce yourself. Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Asher Flom. I'm the president of Flower Management Company. I'd like to welcome you all to the Town of Woodbury Caesars Entertainment Flower Management presentation. Very excited to be here. I'd like to thank Supervisor Burke. Thank you for having us. Town Board, thank you for being here this evening and allowing us to present. It's really a pleasure. I'd just like to reiterate some of my previous comments that, we've been able to spend some time in the community here, and we're learning a little bit more each day about what Woodbury is about and, the needs and the concerns of the community. I think Caesars, Flown, and our consultants have been working extremely hard, long hours, to address concerns and really shape the project in the view that all the residents would be proud of. So we're putting in a tremendous amount of time and money into the project and into this presentation. So really excited to introduce Caesars Entertainment, the world-class gaming operator that it's just top tier. They bring an enormous amount of resources to the table and, customer base, and it's really unique and a really strong opportunity, and I think the perfect fit here in Woodbury. So I'll say thank you and honored to turn it over to Caesars Entertainment this evening.
Supervisor Burke, member of the Town Board, all of you who have joined us here tonight, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk a little bit about Caesars Entertainment, our project, and what we think that we can bring to the town of Woodbury. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Caesars. You may be familiar with the brand, with Caesars Palace, but we're actually the largest gaming company in the world. We operate 53 gaming properties in 7 countries on 5 continents. We have over 100 million visitors annually and more than 20 brands, including Caesars, Paris, Horseshoe, Flamingo, and the World Series of Poker, which is going on right now. We have over 45 million guests that are in our database, which is total rewards. And this becomes important because these are guests that we meet in other states, other countries, and then they come and visit us all around the United States and the world in the properties. And it's a way that we can bring new visitors way beyond just New York into the town. We have over 70,000 employees, 390 restaurants, bars, and clubs, Celebrity chefs including Guy Fieri, Gordon Ramsay, Bobby Flay, and tomorrow Giada opens at the new Cromwell, which is one of our small properties in Las Vegas. We operate 44,000 hotel rooms, so we know how to be hoteliers in hospitality. 302 retail stops, 1.6 million square feet of meeting space, which becomes really important when you're building these resorts, when you're trying to make sure that you have year-round use of the facility, and 7 golf courses. The way that we work when we come into a community, because we operate in so many communities, is under the confines of what we call our code of commitment. A code of commitment is a code of how we will do business in a community. It's a code to sustainability, to operate environmentally responsibly. That's under our Code Green programs. It's a career building. It's important to understand that the jobs that we bring are a wide variety of jobs, and we'll talk about that a little bit longer later on in the presentation. But it's everything from hotel management to marketing, legal, engineers, and of course food service and other frontline personnel. We give back in many ways. We commit to give back not only with the taxes that we bring in the new revenues, but also through our philanthropic organizations, and make sure that the economic benefits that we bring to a community benefit the community first. Look to use local vendors. Look to hire as much local as possible, and make sure that as everybody benefits, that the community benefits first. As we said, what does this mean for Woodbury? It's job opportunities, it's tourism, it's local business and businesses as suppliers, it's taxes and investments in Woodbury, and revenues that are generated by the monies that are directed to the town, but also through our Caesars Foundation, and then the local partnerships to tie Woodbury with our resort casino operation. So I'd like to, before we get into some of the other specifics about the company, turn this over to our Executive Vice President, Greg Miller, who will talk about the resort itself, some of the solutions that we think we have to traffic and some of the other concerns. And then after we finish, we want to be available to answer any questions that you might have on any issue that you might have. Greg?
Town Supervisor Berg, members of the town board, and members of the citizens of Woodbury. And thank you to Jan Jones. I don't know that we introduced Jan properly, but Jan is our Executive Vice President of Community Relations, Government Relations for our company. So what she's described across the 53 different properties we have, she's responsible to the communities and to our board of our company for following through on those commitments. And you'll be hearing more from Jan in a moment. My responsibilities within the company are how we translate these commitments into the product itself, into the resort and the different products that we develop and build, and ensure that we tailor them so that they're effective. So as we go through and look at every different market, even though we may be the biggest in the world as a company, we didn't get to be the biggest by having one cookie cutter that we recreated 53 times. Every single one of our properties that we have in the United States and throughout the world is completely unique because they're unique to service the needs of that marketplace and to service the community itself. And we're very proud of our track record of doing both very effectively. What I'd like to do right now is really walk through our vision of what Caesars New York would be and how it meets the opportunities of the market and how we think it can be a force for good in the community and help make the community address certain issues in the community, as we'll talk about later, especially traffic. So that when we position this as a destination resort, it really has very specific meaning to us in terms of a program. It means that we're going to develop luxury hotel room product where we can have guests at our different properties throughout the country come and visit. We get about 25% of our company revenues from people who will come and visit us first in their home market, and then when they're traveling or going to, let's say, New York for other reasons, they would want to come and stay with us. So we'll have hotel rooms for those customers. It's going to be a luxury hotel. Caesars is known throughout the world as one of the luxury brands in the casino industry. So it'll have a spa, very beautiful fitness center, very small retail component, really just a gift shop for the hotel. We'll have a state-of-the-art casino floor. The way that expresses itself is in things like our World Series of Poker, which we as a company own. We'll have really the nicest World Series of Poker room, probably in the country. We'll do televised events on ESPN in the meeting and flexible meeting and entertainment space that will locate very close to the poker room. We'll have great table gaming, great slot machines, etc. That's certainly part of our program. But we're also going to have restaurants, bars, and other dining offerings here. It can be both chef-driven. As Jan mentioned, Giada is very well known on the Food Network. She's opening her first restaurant ever anywhere with us today in Las Vegas. It could be people like that, but it could also very, very well be local restaurateurs. About 5 of our restaurants will be much smaller restaurants, things we've done successfully in other markets where local restaurateurs will come in and have a successful business. We're looking at a very small outdoor performance venue. It's something that we've seen again in different markets where having a small summer concert series, not a huge amphitheater, but a small venue can be very positive, just create a great guest experience for people. And then we're going to have all structured in valet parking. There's certainly choices that the developer has in creating a destination casino. You can have big fields of surface parking or invest in a garage. And we chose here to invest in the garage and have it so it's all very convenient, very compact. We talked about it being a destination resort. Well, the total site is about 121 acres. We're using between 25 and 30 acres for the actual structure. So in total, we're going to have very little of the land developed and structure, and the rest is going to be intended to be a destination resort. If you look, I don't know if it shows up, the roadway on the far right-hand side, the resort road, is about 1,800 feet from the entrance. So it's a fair amount back where people will go and drive through what we think will be a very beautiful resort to get to Caesars, New York. This slide really just reinforces the last point I was making. And in some ways it also references our landscaping plans, which are basically to take the existing landscaping and we have a landscaping firm we're working with who's going to really respect and take advantage of all the natural terrain here and celebrate it rather than replace it or make it go away with anything. So when you take a step back and look at what will be created here, it'll be really 121 acres, but almost 100 acres, about 95 acres, which will be the existing natural, beautiful state that we expect will stay here. And when we start to translate that into architecture, and we again are looking for models that are very sympathetic to the beautiful natural terrain that is here. So we've gone to different examples that have similar, different projects around the country that have similar conditions of just beautiful topography, and how did they succeed in delivering what we think is very beautiful architecture in those projects with natural materials, but also modern amenities. And you can see examples right here of places that have done that and are consistent with where our intentions are here. So when you drop this image right here is really the porte cochere of Caesars, New York. As you come up to the main entry, there will be stone columns, but also glass. And we think it'll be a very beautiful, very high quality entry experience that people will have. I feature the guest rooms only because when we build our 300-room hotel out here, it's going to be a very high standard luxury hotel that again will be really all about bringing people from around the U.S., bringing people who are tourists, bringing people who might be in the city and want to have a nice place to stay overnight here, and this is the type of guest room that we'll give them. But as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we completely recognize that traffic is the main challenge to realizing our vision for the site, and certainly an important barrier to, as we understand it, to the folks who have been living in this area, to all of you. So the plan that we have here that I'll walk through in just a little bit more detail is one that's directly derived from the work that's been done to date by the New York Department of Transportation. So there are a couple of small changes that we've looked at, and we've already started a process of meeting and consultation with the New York Department of Transportation to get agreement on the scope that will not only effectively address the prior conditions, but will also be able to handle the additional traffic that will come from a casino such as that which I just described. One of the things, so the point here on this slide is really to start to quantify some of the issues that we observe, and our consultant TRC engineers who's been involved in this area for a while, they've observed. So when we look at the statistics, the area that we're trying to solve for is really the afternoon rush hour peak and the weekend peak. And the average traffic we see per hour through the 131, exit 131, Route 17 interchange is approximately 4,800 vehicles per hour today. When we look at the expected impact of the casino at that point, it increases that burden by about 21%, about 1,300 trips. And while I'll go through some of the specific solutions in just a moment, the point that we think is very important here is that if those problems don't get solved, including any of the existing issues, then we won't have a successful casino investment. We won't have a successful project. We have to be in a position to address the traffic and be part of the solution with the New York Department of Transportation and you here in the community, or our investment will fail. It's really no more complicated than that. As we look at the different proposals throughout Orange County, we see that many of them will likely, to some degree, some greater than others, be using this same exchange. As we look at the citizens of this area, we would think that having somebody who's going to be your neighbor who has to solve it for their own project to succeed would be a real benefit for the community. So again, I mentioned I will go through some of the details that relate to, and in some cases augment, the existing traffic plan that's been published. The improvement area 1 is up on the top, and it's really creating a dedicated ramp to the southbound 17 that will go under 17, loop off, so there isn't a left. It basically foregoes the need for a left at the traffic light on the upper right-hand side. As we go down to improvement area 2, I think this has largely been in the plans for a while. We think it's very important for the traffic as it moves southbound from the Woodbury Commons to eliminate this first traffic light and then get a right turn that will then flow right over or right into the expressway. Again, the goal here is to eliminate some of the lights that have the left turns that create all the stacking there. And again, the plan that's been put out there and that we're extremely supportive of is the investment into adaptive signaling systems that, through the use of technology, can help reduce some of the pressure. No one of these moves by itself will create a solution. And as I mentioned, we've been working with the New York Department of Transportation to try to create a plan that the state can get behind as well. But their initial impression based on this plan is that it is a very good start at addressing not only what was here before, but also the additional traffic that would come and be derived from the casino. As we go further south on Route 17 and move more towards the resort entrance that I described, we think it's really imperative that we widen the lanes in each direction to go from 2 lanes in total to 4 lanes, so 2 lanes in each direction, and widen at the area where there are the current unused train tracks at the railroad bridge there. So we're very dedicated to making sure that traffic has plenty of capacity going all the way through that whole zone, and we'll plan to make that happen. The community infrastructure obviously doesn't stop with the local roadways. It also includes very important subjects such as sewer, water, police, fire, ambulance, other emergency services. We don't have completed solutions in these areas yet. The way that the legislation was drafted out of Albany was one where every applicant essentially is obligated to ensure that they have enough capacity available to meet the needs of their project. And we're certainly fully committed to that. We have options on sewer. We've met with the Orange County Department of Environmental Services. We've had conversations with them that include a will serve letter from that group. We also have looked at opportunities to add our own capacity on site. We're going to continue to have conversations locally on what the right solution is to add to the sewage capacity we know we'll be adding to the system. Similarly with water, we've met with Mayor Welly and Harriman to discuss the provision of water to the site itself. We believe that there are solutions to adding to the well that's already contemplated. I think it's designated as OR1 on the site, and it's already been permitted. Contribute to off-site well at OR7, and if it's needed, and we expect it likely will be, to write checks to add additional required capacity to make sure that there's sufficient water available for the project, and very importantly, we're not adding to the burden of the community with regard to water, similar to what we were discussing with sewer. We've started conversations with the town of Woodbury, with you all, with the village of Woodbury, and with the village of Harriman on how police services, fire services, police and fire, all of that will be, the existing infrastructure, the existing services will be added to. We fully expect there could be upfront costs as well as ongoing costs to provide and support the additional services that our project will require. We've also met with local ambulance services and realized that group probably doesn't have capacity the way it's configured today to service our project. So we would contract with a certified private company to service the needs of the casino in that regard. So as we look through the project itself and the infrastructure burdens that it will contribute to, we also think it's quite important that people understand generally the benefits that will come to the community from us being a part of the community. One is the upfront exit 131 project improvements. Again, I don't know that this community will have a vote in a lot of the other casino projects that are being contemplated for Orange County, but we know that you all have a voice on how this one gets done, and we're very committed and have to, as I mentioned before, for the sake of our own investment, make a substantial upfront commitment to make sure these changes occur. We also know that Woodbury, between the town and the village, will realize what's been estimated at $29 million of total annual additional receipts for the communities. It's been estimated as $10 million coming out of the state gaming tax And again, that comes directly from the legislation from last fall. And then an estimated $19 million of additional property taxes. And again, we wouldn't presuppose how the community spends that money. That's either determined by your regulations and law and how property taxes are divided up, or it will be determined by the town board and the village board. But we're very confident there's a substantial amount of additional funding that will be coming to the community. And beyond that, there will be an additional $10 million of funding that would be estimated to go to Orange County for the services that they provide. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, separate dedicated commitments we would make to fund things like the additional police and fire that would be required by our project. These numbers, when we met with the village a couple of weeks ago, there were some questions about the derivation of these numbers specifically compared to the numbers that have been published by the state. The state numbers were published as what I'll call a generic Orange County location with a normal operator, let's say. We think that this location is better than the location they used to estimate what I think was 6.7 million of benefits compared to the 10 that we just expressed here. Plus, we know from our experience across the different casinos we operate, we tend to operate at a revenue premium of somewhere between 25 and 30% higher than our competitors because of all the tourism that we're able to touch and induce with the breadth of our network, and plus the sophistication of our total reward system that really our company was built on the back of. The additional very important part of what we can contribute to the community is just very good local jobs. During the construction process, we estimate there will be 1,500 construction jobs created. And then once we're open, we've estimated that it's an additional 3,000 permanent jobs. And on the permanent jobs, the average compensation per full-time equivalent employee is about $50,000. Now that's all in, it includes salaries, benefits, tips, etc. But it's a $50,000 that each employee would be bringing home. Again, as we bring employees on, we have terrific benefits outlined on the slide here. And we also have a real track record of walking the talk on integrating with the community, whether it's minority-based community elements in various parts of the country, or veterans, or women-based enterprises. We have a really good track record of working with the community and helping create real opportunities for people. And as we go through here, we're going to very actively seek, particularly veterans, given the legacy of this community here. We'll go through in a couple minutes plans we have to have job fairs over the summer and start to get to know people and start to take names for should we be granted the license, being able to move very quickly to start to bring people on. We will also, just as a matter of course, benefit the local economy through the procurement we do locally. You can see here the categories on the left-hand side of the chart are ones that would naturally come from local, whether it's seafood or produce or bakery. We understand there's a local vineyard that we certainly could consider buying or would expect to buy from. Laundry, vending. There's a lot of your local infrastructure and businesses today that would naturally be beneficiaries of a project such as ours. And then regionally, as you extend beyond the local market here, we expect to create benefits again because it just makes good sense that we'd be buying from them. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have employment forums over the course of the next month or two. It'll be during June or July. We'll hold vendor forums as well to get to know the local vendors in the market and make sure we're starting to plan around creating opportunities here. We're going to post this presentation on our local website that we'll go through at the end here, but it's really important for you to know, and it's really easy to verify, that it isn't just rhetoric for our company. It's something that we really do execute and do. You can go and survey, consistent with what the County Executive Niehaus did in reaching out to different fire and police departments to understand, okay, really, how is Caesars part of the community? We stand behind those relationships and very open with the different cities we're in, stand behind that, as well as our local partners, chambers of commerce, etc. People, we make a difference in the communities we're in, and people stand behind us when we ask them to advocate for us. I've already alluded to this a couple of times. We're going to do the Vendor and Jobs Forum that I mentioned earlier. We also plan on having a transportation town hall at some point in the near future to get into more detail and to get feedback from the community on the details of the plan that would come out of this mutual process with ourselves and the New York Department of Transportation. We have the opportunity to talk about partnerships and how that can work across our network, as well as an open house at the office that we're planning on opening as soon as we can get a lease signed here in Woodbury in the very, very near future. So again, really just to repeat what I've already gone through, if we come into Woodbury, we are very confident and we're really completely incented to invest in the necessary infrastructure that will not only accommodate the incremental needs of our project, but will also, particularly in the area of traffic, go back in and deal with some of the existing conditions. We're going to have an active dialogue with local emergency services. We're committed to making sure that there's no shortfall there when we open. We're going to hire locally and create opportunities for vendors and for local craftsmen and members of unions on the construction side up front. We're very, as a company across the country, we're very supportive of the construction unions. And we're going to partner, we look forward to reaching out and partnering with SUNY Orange to create training programs so that people who are local are very well trained and able to be part of our project. So really to close out the meeting, Jan Jones is going to come back up and walk through, again, how we react and interact with other communities throughout our network. Thank you.
I just wanted to spend a little bit more time tonight talking about how we do business, what the standards that we hold ourselves to. And this is really about Caesars in the community. I talked a little bit when I first opened about the Code of Commitment. We put the Code of Commitment in place in 2001, and we've operated by their tenants for the last almost 15 years. I've served under two CEOs, and both of them, Phil Satry and now Gary Loveman, have started every year's strategy by describing it within the confines of the Code of Commitment. So what is that? It's a commitment to our employees to treat them with respect and to provide satisfying careers. And the career piece of that is the one that we think is really important, that we like to meet employees, grow employees, and then make Caesars Entertainment a home for their livelihood for many years. To our guests is to promote responsible gaming. And this is something that we see as utmost importance. That gambling is for fun, gambling for entertainment, but it has to be conducted responsibly. In fact, we're the only gaming company that operates by a marketing code that very clearly discusses where we'll advertise, what kinds of outlets we'll advertise in, age limits. We won't even run advertisements on any radio or TV that has less than 75% of its audience over 25 years of age. In our communities is to help Woodbury a healthy and vibrant place to live and work, and that really goes to talking about reinvesting back into the community. We've said if the ships rise, we want all the ships to rise, and then into the environment to be responsible stewards of the environment. Jobs, I mentioned this a little before, but it's sometimes when people think of casinos, they think just of service employees. But actually, it's gaming operations, relationship marketing, human resources, finance planning and analysis, hotel, food and beverage, information technology, total services. So there's a large number of different kinds of employment opportunities that turn out to be a big benefit to the community. Responsible gaming. Caesars wants everyone who gambles at our casinos to be there for the right reasons, and that's simply to have fun. We're the only gaming company that actually ran ads where our CEO was saying, sometimes you shouldn't gamble. You shouldn't gamble if you've had too much to drink. You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed. You shouldn't gamble if you're having trouble setting a limit. And then we gave numbers to call because, again, it's about having fun and gambling for the right reasons. Our programs serve as the model for the industry. In fact, I've worked in countries around the world with their governments helping them set up responsible gaming regulation so that they have confidence that we're going to operate in a responsible manner. We funded the creation of the first national helpline. We received the first corporate award by the National Council on Problem Gaming. We regularly contribute to and assist international, national, and local problem gaming helplines. We're the first to offer nationwide self-exclusion and self-restriction. That's if a customer doesn't want to be a customer. All they have to do is tell us, and we will exclude them from any of our marketing materials. And in some cases, we may also take the approach that maybe they're not the right customer for us for other reasons. Commitment to effective, responsible gaming training for all of our employees. We train every single of our 70,000 employees has been trained about responsible gambling. And then different tiers receive higher levels of training. We have responsible gaming ambassadors who are actually on the floor, who, if it appears that a customer asks for help, or if a customer approaches and asks for help, they're trained to be able to intervene and send them where they can find help. There's a few myths and realities about gambling that I want to touch on very briefly, just because they're always questioned, and I think it's important to know that the facts around some of these beliefs are very different than the myths themselves. And these aren't my findings, these are the findings of the National Federal Gambling Impact Study of countless studies done by universities and governments. The good news for New York is gaming has been in many, many states and cities for long periods of time, so you're not becoming the guinea pig. You have the benefit of having a great deal of knowledge as you begin to consider how you might like to integrate gaming into your community. Myths: customers are vulnerable, less educated, low-skilled workers. In fact, the educational profile of casino customers matches that of American adults. And actually, the American Gaming Association's latest studies showed that the average income level of a casino customer is higher than the norm. Casino gambling has primary appetite to the poor. The reality is those in the lowest income bracket are the least likely to be casino customers. Customers are predominantly elderly. The age profile of casino gamblers is comparable to that of adults generally. And a very interesting statistic that's just finding in Las Vegas, there's two. The first is that 70% of the revenues in Las Vegas today come from non-gambling activity. They come from restaurants, bars, clubs, spas, golf clubs. And that the average age in Las Vegas over the last decade has gone from 55 years old to 45 years old. So as the trends change, the people that are seeking the entertainment are people who are employed, people who have discretionary income, people who are looking for an entertainment activity. Casinos bring increased rates of street crime. Communities with casinos are just as safe as communities that don't have casinos. In fact, the two latest studies that really looked at that impact, one was the Federal National Gambling Impact Study, and the second was done at the University of Chicago. Both of them found, these are just two that I can mention, there are many more, found that there is no difference in the rate of crime with or without casinos, and that sometimes you'll find that crime actually goes down as the casinos have so much of their own security and that they work in collaboration with the local police and others that allows you to really protect the safety in your community. Legalization of casino gaming causes large numbers of gambling addicts. Actually, and I think this is important to know, we take pathological gambling and people with problems very seriously. It's a terrible addiction and it has very bad effects on families, and we've heard the stories many times. The reality is about 2% of the public actually has some kind of pathological gambling addiction. Introduction of casinos doesn't change that rate at all. The prevalent studies have shown that giving more supply doesn't change pathological gambler. A pathological gambler is finding some place to gamble, likely whether you have a casino in their state or not. One of the differences is now there's funding to provide services so that if they ask to seek help, there's help that can be given to them. Environmental sustainability strategy is driven by Code Green. Code Green is a fascinating project because it was all started by our employees. Our employees said, we need to care about the environment. We need to get involved. What can we do that's going to make a difference? And it's amazing the effect it's had on energy efficiency, use of recycled materials, our LEED certification, some of the progress you can see on the side here is 9% reduction in absolute electricity consumption, 19% reduction in electricity consumption per square foot, 11% absolute reduction in carbon emissions to the atmosphere, and it goes on. And much of our success in this has been because our employees care about it. In fact, one of our charitable organizations is called Clean the World, and it's where a lot of our room attendants, when they were cleaning the different rooms, saw all the unused shampoos and soaps and said this has to be something that can be put to better use. So we started bringing them together, and now we send them to countries around the world who have a need for soaps and cleaning products. Living the code is, again, something I said is core to our DNA. When you look at it in action, after Katrina, we launched a sweeping recovery effort to assist the 8,000 employees that were affected by the hurricane in both Louisiana and Mississippi. In fact, all of our employees who were out of work as a result of Katrina, we paid them for 4 months, and then we kept them on benefits until they were able to get back to work. Tourism impact in Harrah's, New Orleans, Greg talked about partnering with the community. We find that when we go into communities, we want everyone to benefit. In New Orleans, we've spent over $95 million with local partner hotels buying their hotel rooms, and more than $45 million with local restaurants and attractions over the last 10 years. The old belief that resort casinos want people to come and just stay there is an old wives' tale. What we want is for people to be in the community, to bring community activities and restaurants and local attractions and make them core to the entertainment we're providing. Economic revitalization. Joliet's always one of my favorite stories. Joliet, Illinois was a small city, more of a town that was really known for nothing but its prison. If you ever saw the Blues Brothers, you've seen Joliet, Illinois. They had a 20-year redevelopment plan, which they achieved in less than a decade. And it was by the revenues, the jobs, and the economic revitalization. And then local businesses. One of the small businesses, and this is a small, diverse, small-owned business, Renew Oil, is now recycling all of our cooking oils, and others are actually using some of this to run our shuttles. So trying to find ways that we can be both socially responsible and make sure that it benefits, whenever possible, a local vendor is something we always look to do. Our foundation, the Caesars Foundation, benefits underserved population and helps older individuals live longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. We picked seniors as the core focus of our foundation years ago, mostly because we thought that seniors were underserved population and that there were many things that we could do that would assist. The first program we took on was Meals on Wheels, and in the last decade we've donated over 50 trucks to Meals on Wheels across America. We've contributed nearly $1 million to various different scholarships, United Negro College Fund, our Hero Volunteers, which are employees. January 10th through the first half of 2011 contributed more than 173,000 hours into the community, just finding ways to give back. We share our financial success with our communities by donating a portion of company profits to community and charitable causes. So we don't think it's just about the taxes. The taxes are good, the property taxes, the taxes that come from gaming, those are all important contributions, but we think you have to do more. You have to give back charitably. You have to support those organizations that are looking to do the work the government doesn't always have the funds or the resources to accomplish. I need my technical.
I know of no other corporate foundation that's doing more to improve the lives of older people across the country.
It created an opportunity for us to see the work that we wanted and aspired to do in a specific community, and then help us to focus that, identify what those things like, whether it was job training or whether it was focused on helping people get the public benefits they need, like SNAP benefits to address the issue of hunger. So in essence, what it did was it helped us refine and even focus our work and our accomplishments better.
We found that the heroes going into the elder care communities and getting to know the elders well, the elders have begun to look for them and wait for them and watch them as they cross the room. That's how much impact the Caesars Foundation has had on our elders.
It's really quite simple. By delivering a daily hot meal, a friendly visit, and a safety check, Meals on Wheels programs in communities all around Caesars properties are helping homebound, isolated, and hungry older Americans to receive the nourishment and social interaction they need to remain independent and in their own homes.
Thank you so much, Caesars Foundation, for everything you've helped us do.
Thank you, Caesars.
Thanks to the Caesars Foundation, dreams are abounding everywhere throughout the United States. And for that, we are personally thankful.
I think if you go in the communities in which we operate and talk to some of the different providers, you'll find the same thing that Greg spoke of with our chambers and other community partners, that when we say we're going to do something, we stand by those. And it's interesting, for a period of my career when I wasn't working as an executive with a gaming company, I was in public service, so I know that it's you sit and you listen to different developers and others come and talk to you as a board or talk to you as a community and make promises about what we will do. And I think that I can tell you with every degree of certainty that when we come into a community and we say we'll be there with the jobs, we'll be there as a partner, we'll be there to make sure that your businesses and your governments benefit, that we'll find a way to do this that is in everyone's best interest, that is a commitment that we take very seriously. We want to help you create those thousands of direct job opportunities, attract tourism, and again I say tourism because I think it's important you bring people from outside of just the state of New York, engaging hundreds of local businesses, taxes, reinvesting, and partnering will soon emerge for recruiting, training, and curriculum development. We hope that you'll want to be a partner as much as we look to be a part of your community, and we'd like to take this opportunity now to be able to address or answer any questions or observations you may have.
Anybody who wants to sign up to speak as we move forward with this presentation, please feel free to do so. And we'll all return to the main table upstairs on the stage, and then we'll begin in about 5 minutes. Thank you. attention, please. I would like to continue the meeting at this point. Just so you know that we have approximately 45 people who have indicated a desire to come forward and make some comments. May I have your attention, please, gentlemen? Thank you very much. So, Timmy ran his the village board meeting the other night, a week and a half ago, and he did not have a clock, and we're not clock people either. But we have to be aware of the fact that we're going to be here for a while. So, when you come forward, identify yourself, indicate whether you're a resident of the town of Woodbury. And if you're not, don't tell us where you're from, but just indicate whether or not you are a resident of the town of Woodbury. And hopefully we can move it along. At the end, if you have some question that has not been asked and you want to make some comments, we'll still give you time to come to the microphone. But in fairness to the 45 people who have signed up, we'd like to move it along as quickly as we can. Now, there are some members that I'd like to, the audience, would like to acknowledge their presence from the county legislature. Katie Benelli, representing Steve Newhouse, our county exec, will be Harry Poor. Tim Egan, as I mentioned, from the village council. Tom Flood, I believe, is here. Steve Welling, the mayor of the village of Harriman, and Bruce Chichester, who's also a Village of Harriman board member, and I may have missed somebody, and if I did, I apologize. At this point, I would like to ask the members of the board if they have any questions at this time. They can either do it now or ask questions at the end. We, as board members of the town, we're out there. Certainly people have spoken to us. We know what their questions are. Some were part of the presentation, some are not. But it would be remiss on our part if we did not raise the questions and ask the questions that we've been asked to consider. Some we have answers to, and some we don't. So if any member of the town board would like to ask any questions, I'll pass the microphone down to you, and we'll begin with the town board members.
Good evening. I actually have a question regarding philanthropy and community involvement. I think it was pretty well answered by the presentation, but I just want to say that this town, this community, deserves community involvement and support from Caesars, because we live here and we put up with progress every Saturday out here on Route 32, and we need solid involvement from Caesars. If they want to expand on what that means, fine. If not, that's all I have right now.
I would just say we couldn't agree with you more. And although seniors has been our focus, it's not our only gift-giving focus. In fact, we just adopted 2 schools in Nevada that are Teach for America schools. We underwrite all the Teach for America teachers, and now our heroes go in and are working with the students on job training and classroom. So, and we'll find in different communities, we want to hear what it is you would like and where we can be most beneficial. But it's part of how we do business, and I sit here and tell you and every member of the board, not only will we be there, but we'll be there with real dollars and real commitment.
Do you have any plans to shuttle your guests between your resort and Woodbury Commons at all? Because obviously there's going to be guests that are going to want to frequent Woodbury Commons.
Yeah, our current plans don't really feature shuttling. It's not clear to us how much cross-utilization there will really be. we're sure that people who are staying at the hotel will want to go over, but of the people who are coming to Woodbury Commons today, it's really not clear to us how many of those people will be coming over, so we don't have shuttle plans currently.
You might as well stay there. You talked about job fairs, which is great, being a veteran, that you're doing stuff for the veterans, but are you going to have a Woodbury resident-only job fair before you open it up to everybody else?
Yeah, the intention will be to start locally here, and I guess we hadn't thought through how we draw demarcation lines to make it Woodbury resident only, but the center of gravity that's right here is really our main emphasis. So we would work with you all to define who gets invited, how that works initially. We just did one in Baltimore 3 weeks ago where it was really at the request of the mayor of Baltimore to get ready for our opening coming up, and we had, I think, 10,000 people show up, and thousands of people came out with jobs on that. I think it was 1,200 people came out with jobs on that.
And just a little further clarification, your local concept restaurants, we have a lot of restaurants in town here.
Yeah. So
does XYZ restaurant, will they be able to partake in the local concept restaurant in the resort?
Yeah, potentially. We've got a concept that is, it's derivative of a food court. It doesn't really feel like a food court when you're in it, but it's something that would have an opportunity for 5 or 6 different concepts to share common space, and then to provide their food services there. And it's a lower capital, easier access way for people in the local community to be part of the project that we've found has worked really well in the last 3 projects that we've opened.
Okay, great, thanks.
One other thing there that I think, when we talk about Total Rewards, which is a customer loyalty program, we're probably, I think we're the only company, or maybe another, but not one the size of ours, that actually you can earn points with local businesses. So we will send our customers into local businesses, local restaurants. They can earn their points there and then come and redeem them. We're partnered with other businesses so they can be part of that Total Rewards network.
Actually, we on the town board have an opportunity to speak with the representative of Caesars at any time. So I'm going to hold off my questions so that you, the people out here, can come up and discuss it, and so that we can move forward. Because we want to hear what you have to say also, not so much that you want to hear what we have to say.
I have a few questions that I'd like to ask. Jan, would you be able to click on the slide that deals with the site specific? That's fine. It's as you announced tonight, as Caesars announced tonight, it's a 116-acre site, maybe another half acre or so, whatever the case may be. That has generated a number of questions which I'd like to have addressed tonight. How many actual structures are going to be on that site? There's a casino, I guess. Is that a single structure? Is the hotel a separate structure? Are there any other structures that are going to be on that site besides the one or two I just mentioned?
There are essentially 3 different structures in the program. When you look at the image that you were describing, on the right-hand side is the hotel. The center is the casino, which is one large structure, fairly low-rise, it's 2 levels. And then on the left is the parking garage.
Okay, if you could ask Jan to put that slide up then, please.
Yes.
So there are going to be 3 structures.
Yeah.
Okay. There's been discussion, including comments that I guess under the gaming law, correct me if I'm wrong, that a casino is not able to ask for a tax break or tax abatement or what have you. Is that correct? Under the gaming law as was passed last November.
My understanding is that's correct. Regardless of whether it's in the law, we have no intention of asking for tax abatements or incentives.
What the issue that's been raised is the casino, and that's the emphasis that we hear all the time, the casino. I asked the question about up to two other structures that we know of right now. Would they be treated the same way, or because I do believe it might be in the law, and I'll let our attorney address that, not tonight, that there is possibly no chance for a casino building itself to take advantage of tax abatements or tax breaks. But the other buildings might be able to, through some county program or state program, to get a tax break. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that, but just for the record, to you all, we have no intention of seeking incentives for any of the structures that are part of this program that I just described earlier today.
I broke it down. I think we have 116 acres. The way I understand the materials that have been distributed to this point, 28 acres are to be disturbed or to be construction on.
That's generally right.
Right. 29 acres will be wetlands. Is that correct?
That may be accurate on wetlands. Beyond wetlands, yes. There's required buffer.
The buffer, yes.
Makes the number higher than that. I think the overall number, and our consultant team can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the overall number of wetlands and buffer is closer to 40.
You're right. I believe I was going to get to that next, but I think it's around 44 acres.
Right.
That gives us a total of 28 plus the wetlands and the buffer gives us around 72 acres. What are we going to do with the rest? What can the citizens of Woodbury expect to do or expect to happen to the other remaining acres? Are they going to be forever green, or is there a possibility of constant future build-outs?
We really haven't contemplated future build-outs on that. We've looked at it in the context of having it green, to have this great destination resort that takes advantage of the characteristics that I've described earlier, and we haven't given much thought to how that might or might not change over time. Or, as we sit here right now, we don't have any intention that it would change over time.
I believe you. I agree with you. The intention right now is what you say it is. I have no reason to not to believe that. But as the future evolves and develops, in any business enterprise, you're looking to expand, you're looking to bring in new sources of revenue. Could they be? I'm just raising these questions. I'm not suggesting you have the answers yet, but we, the people who live in Woodbury, can see the possibility down the future. An amusement park, racing, automobile racing, outdoor concerts, which I think you alluded to at one point in your presentation. So I think these are the things that I don't know if you can answer these questions at this point, but these are the things that are on the minds of the people in the town of Woodbury who, as you know, you've been here long enough, we have been banged around pretty good over the last number of years, and we have an intersection that's horrible for a whole variety of reasons. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not too sure when the light's going to come on. Not a traffic light, but the construction of that intersection. We have a sewer plant that is really on its last leg, and that's going to have to be addressed by the county at some point. So we've been patient and scratching our heads and saying, what are we getting into? So the potential is there, possibly, for this to go beyond just the 3 buildings. So you answer my question about the taxes, and I believe it's out there, depending on what happens in the future for those other acres, which are developable, I believe, unless you're going to tell me they're not. But this is what we hear when we talk to the citizens of Woodbury. I think when you and I met, or maybe it was one of the other representatives from Caesars, I had projected that, and I'd asked the question and guessed, how many parking spaces are we going to be having down in this complex? Your written document, somewhere it says 5,000 spaces. So, is that correct? Approximately 5,000 parking spaces?
We're still in the process of refining right now. Across our network, we average about 1.1 parking spots per gaming position, and we find that's the right amount of capacity for our employees and for our patrons. And we would intend, as we finalize the details of our gaming program here, to use that same formula.
Okay. So I guess 5,000 is a reasonable number for us to, here in Woodbury, to probably deal with somewhere, somehow, as part of, if that structure, if your concept comes to fruition here in Woodbury.
Somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 is a reasonable expectation. Yeah. And as I mentioned in the presentation, we very consciously determined to make it all unstructured parking, to concentrate it, compared to other casinos that you may or may not be familiar with, who will oftentimes use all of the surface area to park.
Okay. We know, based on your numbers, that you're going to be using approximately 200,000 gallons of water per day. I think that's been pretty much in your literature.
Yeah, that's right.
As well as wastewater of about 200,000 gallons per day. The wastewater is tied into the sewer. I believe there's already an allocation for that anyway. But the water, have you reached an agreement with the village of Harriman regarding the water for that site?
No, we've had constructive conversations. We haven't finalized an agreement yet, but we certainly hope to as part of this process in the next few weeks.
Okay. Questions that we run into is during construction, which could take 2 years, I guess. What kind of timing are you looking at? It's my review of your own materials that you're going to be working 7 days a week, and Monday to Friday from 7 in the morning to 6 at night, and on Saturday, Sunday, and holidays you'll be working from 8 to 5.
Yeah, so we haven't gone through and actually done a construction, detailed construction plan at all yet. In many ways, it depends on the timing of the secret process, and then how much time we have left to meet the legislatively required 24-month construction period, and we'll have a schedule that will reflect that. I actually wouldn't expect we would start on weekends in the first period. That would be unusual for us, but it's possible.
It's possible that we could be having construction 7 days a week.
It's possible.
Very possible. The removal of the railroad bridge, which is, as you make the left onto 17 to go south, that railroad bridge, that's been there as an eyesore for a long, long time. And I'm sure it's owned by some railroad company, obviously. What kind of progress has been made for the removal of that bridge?
We've identified the opportunity to remove it. We're talking to the New York Department of Transportation to remove it. Subject to their consent and their rights of way that they've already secured, we would then work with them on the next steps. I don't know, and I could ask our colleagues from TRC if it's required that we do a private transaction, or whether we know if that's in the public right-of-way or in the right-of-way.
The portion that
Could you repeat what you said?
Yeah. The portion that we would be removing would be within the public right-of-way.
So will the bridge be there or not there? I mean,
So I would interpret that, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the state already has the right to remove that as part of this overall project.
Has the state made a commitment to you yet that they're going to remove that bridge? Oh, that railroad bridge?
We've had very good conversations with the state, and what our intention is to have one plan that we and the state agree with that would ensure that the traffic problems addressed. We're in the middle of those conversations right now, so while they're not finalized, they've been very positive, including this element.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to, is Desiree close by? Okay, I'm sorry, Desiree. Would you be able to, I guess you want to call 5 people at a time, and this way people can get ready to come up and ask their questions, and if we can answer the questions, fine. I think most of the questions will have to be answered by the representative of Caesars or Flam Management, and so we'll go back and forth, so you people will be jumping up and down, I would guess. So Desiree, the first 5 people, please.
Okay, I'm just going to call the first 5, and then when you get to the microphone, if you could state your name for the court stenographer, that would be great. If I pronounce your names wrong, I do apologize. Jan Palagi, Paul Campanella, Saeed Muslim, Saida Muslim, and Fred Unger. Just make your way up. Whoever gets here first can talk first, and again, just state your name for the stenographer. Thank you. Hi, I'm Jan Palagi, Palaya Vineyards. We own a vineyard at the very other end of town, 5 miles down the road. I just wanted to say I am for this 100%. I think with the amount of different towns in the area that are going to be buying for these casinos, people will be coming through our exits anyway to get to the other casinos. I don't see a downside to this. If they're prepared to do the infrastructure, if they're prepared to do the water and the sewer, and which has been awful since I moved here in 2000, that I think we should be for this, 100%. And Palaya Vineyards is...
My name is Paul Campanella. I'm with the Greater Monroe Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to the board and to Caesar's Flam for the presentation. So this is a big decision, but every decision starts someplace, and this is the start. From what I understand, you folks have to make a decision, and without that decision, it's dead. And so I'd ask you to keep it alive. The county has lots of opportunity for casinos, and with all the traffic that's going to come through this interchange, it might as well be right here in Woodbury. And so the Greater Monroe Chamber of Commerce, on behalf of the local businesses in our town, Monroe, and also we have some of our members of Woodbury, we'd ask you to keep an open mind and to give this project a chance to breathe. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Syed Mazum. Just hello to the town board. I know it's been a long night so far, so I'm going to keep it quick and short. But it's funny, I'm actually sitting in an auditorium that I went to middle school here 15 years ago. I could never imagine a casino coming here, but with the evolution of Woodbury, and we all have to open our eyes and our ears and see what's going on. I mean, this is it's a must. It's like we're hitting the lottery. This is a 1 in a million opportunity that we cannot pass up. I mean, they're fixing everything. They're putting millions of dollars in. We're not dealing with Chopos. This is Caesars, Harry's. I mean, you're talking about billions upon billions of dollars. So, as my father said, that's my 2 cents.
Fred Unger. I'm a 35-year resident of Highland Hills. I attended the Village Casino Forum last month, and I'm hearing the same things tonight. Caesar's main selling points are 1, jobs, 2, increased business for local businesses. 3, more tax revenue. And 4, assistance in curing the Thruway Route 17 interchange. Many times last month, and again today, I hear the phrase, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It all sounds too good to be true, and maybe it is. Several casinos have failed in the past. In fact, yesterday's New York Times reports that a Harry's in Mississippi, owned by Caesars, will be closing today. Workers are now unemployed without severance pay. Local businesses are scared, and the local government says taxes may have to be raised. Let me just quote something from this article here. When they close the doors on Monday, it's going to hurt, said Sabrina Johnson, who has been earning $13.80 an hour as a cook at the property where she has worked for 16 years. Do the math. 1380 times 40 times 52 comes out to $29,000 a year. It's going to sting, Mrs. Johnson, 45, who spoke during a session organized by a labor union that represents some of Harry's employees. This is not an isolated case. Last Thursday's Wall Street Journal had an article about Caesars. The article discusses possible Caesars bankruptcy and how hedge funds hope to profit from an impending bankruptcy. And I quote from the article, Caesars has raised new debt 18 times, asked lenders to ease terms 6 times, sold new stock 5 times, and swapped or bought back debt at discount 16 times, end quote. To put it simply, Caesars is not in good financial shape. Friday's New York Times reports that the New York State Comptroller is cautious on casinos, and I quote him, there will be winners and losers. The jury is still out as to what the long-term impact is and whether it might well be as positive as proponents have argued, end quote. I suggest that the town board review these articles in detail because there is much more substance in these articles themselves. Remember, a casino in Woodbury may not be the golden goose we are being promised. Thank you very much.
Is Harry Ford still here? Do you want to come forward now, if you don't mind, and then Desiree will call the next 5 members. I know you're in between meetings, so I appreciate it. And Harry, will tell us who you represent, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor and board members. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm here because I'm representing our county executive, Stephen Newhouse, who would be here himself, but he also is busy doing other things. But thought it was important enough for me to be here and to speak on his behalf. I have been a resident of the Mid-Hudson Valley for almost my entire life, and during those years, and I'm sad to say decades, whenever there was talk about casinos, it was always about casinos in Sullivan County. And the thought was that, yes, we would have the traffic going through us, we would never have the gains of having the casino located within our boundaries. Well, when the governor put forward his proposals, lo and behold, Orange County is in play. And when that happened, we knew that it was such a large investment on the part of this private entity, and that it would have numerous impacts, whether it be economic, whether it be environmental, traffic, for instance. We knew that they needed to be studied and looked at in a very serious way. So what we did is we had our county planning department and other county resources evaluate the pros and the cons of a casino coming to Orange County. And at the end of the evaluation, which is always ongoing, but still much of it has been done, the pros, in our opinion, far outweigh the cons. And I'll tell you why. First of all, how often is it that you have a $750 million investment in your backyard? We need to expand our property tax base, and that's a very substantial number. We need good construction jobs. And I'm talking about plumbers, electricians, operating engineers, you name it. They would all be full force, full employed on a project of this scope for a long time. Then there are the ongoing jobs. There are the jobs of people like my children, my grandchildren, who could get a skill, develop a skill, a trade, become part of this industry, whether it's as a bookkeeper or working in some other aspect of the casino. There are jobs that will be long-term, that will be good for this community. So when you look at the pros and you look at the cons, the pros outweigh by large part what the cons might be. More pros. We are looking, at least at the county level, over $10 million in new non-property tax revenue. We're looking at the village, the town, of getting millions of dollars in new revenue that we know villages and towns across Orange County could use, but it would be right here in Woodbury. Another pro, you have probably one of the best gaming institutions in the world knocking on your door. You have partnered with that entertainment industry, one of the best developers with a proven track record. Not what can I do, but look what I've done. Again, you weigh the pros, you weigh the cons, the pros outweigh the cons. Then you look at the cons. The cons are traffic and the interchange and the fact that all this traffic will now be coming into this very tight area. And you say it to yourself, as we said to ourselves in planning, is that how do we mitigate those kinds of cons? So again, I think if we look at how do we accurately and honestly address what are the negatives of this proposal against what are the good, figure out ways to mitigate the negative, and embrace the pros, I think that this project is very good for the county, for the village and town of Woodbury, and the county executive who sent me here tonight to let you know of his enthusiastic support. Thank you.
Okay, Darlene Haynes, Michael Wilson, Tim Muller, Chris Cerrone, and the Woodbury Chamber of Commerce.
Hello, my name is Darlene Haynes. I've lived in town for 29 years in Central Valley. I've been a member here of the town, and I love living here. 30 years ago, the town got the Woodbury Common, and there was talk at that point of us losing our small town and people being worried about losing our small town feeling. We have not lost that, even with the Commons. We still live in quite a great area that our kids can grow up and have normal lives. If that hasn't killed us, nothing will. This is not going to affect our community the way that I think that some people are worried about. I also like the idea, I'd like to retire here. I'm getting to that age where that time and that decision's being made. If the taxes keep on going up, if we don't get some help with these things that need to be corrected anyways, it's going to come out of our tax dollars. And we're not going to be able to retire here. People are going to have to move out. We're on the fence of making that decision. I'd like to stay in Woodbury. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Wilson. I'm a resident of Harriman, and I think that it's inconvenient that the screen is off right now because it's also very convenient that in that slide that the entire neighborhood, which is directly across the street, is grayed out, which speaks volumes, in my opinion, that the hundreds of families that live literally 50 feet away from that proposed property aren't being heard. And it seems to me that this is all about everybody seeing dollar signs, county executives seeing dollar signs. It's all about taxes. When have your taxes ever gone down? Ever? Once? Does anybody remember your taxes going down? No, they never go down, folks. So don't believe the hype. You know, it's a marketing campaign. That's what these people do. This is business. They throw a lot of stuff at you to make it seem like, we're here for you. We're here to be your friend and to help you. No, they're not. It's business. You know, you look at every time the word Woodbury appears in that presentation, that you don't think that exact same PowerPoint presentation has been used elsewhere. They just changed the name of the town. If you say no, they're going to go somewhere else and plug in the name of the next town. It's pretty simple. As a former music industry executive, it was my job to polish a turd and sell millions of it to the American public. So you're not fooling everybody. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Muller. I'm a 47-year resident of Orange County, and I'm also a business representative with the Operating Engineers Local 825.
Could you speak up? Can you speak up a little bit? Thank you.
Local 825 represents over 6,400 members throughout its jurisdiction, which includes Monroe, Woodbury, and Harriman areas here in Orange County. I'm here tonight to speak in support of Caesars Entertainment Casino project. There are a few brief points I'd like to make. Caesars is committed to build a world-class resort casino that can utilize local resources during and after construction. Once completed, this project would generate millions in yearly tax revenues for Woodbury and Orange County. Caesars is working on a comprehensive traffic mitigation plan and is committed to use their own funds for a significant portion of the Route 17 Exit 131 project. Caesars' policy is to hire locally, buy locally, and to support the local community and its charities. Lastly, this project would provide literally thousands of good-paying permanent operational jobs when completed, with hiring preferences being given to local residents and veterans, and good-paying construction jobs during its build phase. While everyone is very passionate about their position on this issue, I respectfully request the Woodbury Town Board pass the resolution in favor of this project, allowing it to go forward in the application process. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Chris Cerrone, and I am a member of Labor's Local 17 in Newburgh. And I am here tonight to convey my support of the Caesars Flow Management Project. As stated during the presentation, if granted a gaming license, this project will bring an estimated 1,500 construction jobs and 3,000 permanent jobs to Woodbury and Orange County, with an emphasis on hiring local residents, especially armed services veterans. In addition to numerous employment opportunities, this project will bring approximately $19 million in much-needed tax revenue to the town of Woodbury and Orange County. There is a commitment to a PLA, Project Labor Agreement, with the Hudson Valley Building and Construction Trades Council, ensuring that local union labor is utilized for the entire project. This is an historic opportunity for the town of Woodbury and Orange County. I urge you to support this project, as this opportunity will most likely never present itself again. So in closing, I ask that you support the Caesar Flow Management Project for the town of Woodbury. Thank you.
Good evening, Joe Genzero from the Woodbury Chamber of Commerce. Just for information, we sent a survey out to all our business members, and overwhelmingly, over 80% of us are in favor of the casino. So we just want to present that to you, that the Woodbury Chamber of Commerce is in favor of the casino. Thank you.
Peter McGoldrick, George Stewart, Robin Kraus, Christine, I'm not going to even try to say your last name, Christine, sorry, and Mark Stoner.
Good evening. Peter McGoldrick, 2 Maple Road, Central Valley, New York. I want to thank the town board for the opportunity to speak here tonight on the resort project. I am a long-time Central Valley resident, probably in the area 30-35 years, and my wife was a longer-term resident of Central Valley before we met, got married, and live in the house that we live in now. I think my history in town has a lot of volunteering and a lot of dedication to the town. And, I love this town. We heard a speaker before talk about not wanting to leave. Unfortunately, I did retire, and my house is on the market, which many of you know that the taxes here are high. My 2 children had to move out of town to get work elsewhere, and I think the benefits that this project will bring to the town needs. And I urge the board to support the resolution, to support the project, move this into the planning arena where it belongs. Any project brings impacts. Impacts can be mitigated, but if a no answer comes out, you can't. A no answer has impacts also, and they can't be mitigated. So I do urge the board to find in favor of the resolution and support this project. Thank you.
Good evening, George Seward, Highland Mills. I want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to speak. I truly appreciate it. Look, the reality is New York State is running out of money, Orange County is running out of money, and so is Woodbury. A lot of the reserve funds that you gentlemen and ladies have been using to keep our taxes down in a very prudent manner are also running out. So it's just a question of time before taxes will be raised. It's a very difficult time for everyone. I'm a 20-year resident. My family grew up here. My 3 children got an incredibly wonderful education here at Monroe Woodbury. And they're having trouble getting a job. They're having trouble finding a place that they can stay in Woodbury because the taxes are high and because conditions are rough. Now, I'm not saying that this is a panacea and it'll fix everything, but I am saying when I walk down Smith Cove Road and I see empty buildings and storefronts that are closed, it breaks my heart. I love Woodbury. I want to spend my life here. The only time I'll ever leave Woodbury is if I choose to leave. I don't want to be forced out. We have an adjoining municipality with expansionist plans whose latest bit was trying to tell us what we can and can't do and what we're allowed to have in Woodbury and what we're not allowed to have. Lawsuits are going to be very expensive. Someone has to pay them. We don't need to have another tax assessment to do that. We need help. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Every other municipality has voted yes. And if you guys vote yes, all you're really doing is allowing this to go to the next step. It's not a guarantee we're going to get it. It's up to the state, not up to us, unfortunately. But I'm suggesting that if we don't allow this to happen, the repercussions will be devastating for those of us that love Woodbury. I, too, am a volunteer. I volunteered on the planning board, the comprehensive plan committee. I volunteered in Orange County. I'm a volunteer fireman right now. So I put my time and my mouth where my money is. What I really want to do is I want to see this get a fair shot. And I know you guys will do that because I appreciate what you're doing and you understand the importance of this. Thank you very much.
Darrow Hanson. My name is Christine Darrow Hanson.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got so nervous getting up here trying to come back. I also have in my hand 300 petitions from most people that couldn't be here tonight that are for the project, and I will be handing them in to you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So I do represent a local business owner and advocate for community. I think you've all seen my efforts. You've been supportive to myself as well. I'm also a mother of 2 children here that attend Monroe Woodbury, which is a quality school district. We have the Woodbury Commons, which is a premier shopping outlet, and we also have Caesars Foundation, which is a top-notch, high-class facility. I've done a lot of research. This greatly concerned me for the community, the local businesses, an opportunity to support the local businesses, obviously taxes, traffic, everything that everybody's also already mentioned. So I've done a lot of research, and what I found is that we are in competitive position with the other casinos proposed in Orange County, and Caesars is the leader in that gaming industry, both between giving back to community, giving back to society, having a track record of what they do and what they believe in. We have seen pictures painted in tuxedo that look lovely, but they have 4 facilities behind them, which if you look at those other facilities, don't look like anything compared to Caesars. We also have another proposal in New Windsor, which is Saratoga, and it's a racino. They have only 1 other facility, and a racino with additional gambling with the racetrack does not look as attractive to me as an entertainment center and a luxury resort. Overall, no matter what goes into Orange County, we will see and feel that residual traffic because, number one, they're trying to get to the location. Anybody would be promoting the Woodbury Commons as it is an acclaimed, worldwide renowned shopping facility that they will be promoting in part of their tourism, so we will have increased shopping. And we also have all of those guaranteed jobs for thousands of people trying to get to work to each of those locations. So I know that we're worried about what the actual particular plans are in developing resolutions for our traffic, but at least we have somebody on our side to help us with that for an issue that we will be guaranteed to see one way or the other. And as many people said, at least let's reap the benefits from that. I hope you strongly consider keeping us in the game. Thank you.
Robin Krause. I'm only representing myself tonight as a 32-year resident of the hamlet of Highland Mills in the town of Woodbury. When I first read about the proposal in Woodbury, I said, what? That's crazy. Our infrastructure can't handle what we have already. So is this really a good idea? But I did some research, and I attended the meetings that were held previously. I can say that we have more information tonight than we had at the previous meeting through more information that the applicant has gathered, more people that they have spoken to, more commitments, or at least by letter perhaps, they've received from the county and the state, at least in preliminary, very preliminary stages. So I'm encouraged by that. There are a lot of ifs with this project, though, as there would be with any project. If the applicant can secure adequate water, non-contaminated water from the town, from the village of Harriman, will the county approve the approved allocated sewage capacity from the previous ICC property development that hasn't come to fruition? Or will they need to expand the Harriman treatment plan, and will they approve that? It all falls on them. Will the state DOT approve the plan that was slated to start in 2013? Obviously, it's going nowhere. If the applicant can persuade the DOT by way of conversation, plans, engineering, and certainly a substantial amount of money to move it along now, not 5 years from now, now, I'd be okay with that. But I do have several questions. Mr. Burke, you touched upon one of mine that I had about the tax abatements. As some of you know, Woodbury Common has burned us on many levels over the years, and the abatements being one of them. But we allowed that to happen, unfortunately. I hope we don't allow that to happen this time. I hope we do our due diligence by way on the various boards, agencies, as well as the planning board, to hold their feet to the fire. Promises are promises, and the proof is in the pudding as to what actually will occur. But we won't know that unless we allow them to move forward. So I am suggesting that, you can't turn your back on job creation and a substantial amount of revenue, which I would like to do more homework on myself because I don't know what a gaming tax is. The amount has changed in the various presentations from 5.8 to now 10 million. Is it annual? Is it a 5-year cap? Does, if their revenues go down, does that go down? I'm going to do more homework myself. But these are questions that I have, and I'll raise them at the planning board level at the appropriate time if it gets that far. Anyway, I'm suggesting that, we allow it to move forward and see where it takes us.
I'm a resident of Highland Mills for over 10 years. I'm sorry. Mark Johnson. I'm a resident of Island Mills for over 10 years. At the beginning, I was kind of against this opportunity, but when I sit down and look into it, talk to the Father and ask Him to give me the knowledge what I got. I have a lot of wisdom. That's all I have. I'm coming to you. I said, this is a great opportunity because right now the old state is in a problem where there's not too much money. Our town was capable of lowering our tax. It raised every year, but not too much. I can name 10 different local municipal, their tax raised at least 5 times what we have. So for this Caesar to come in to invest close to $750 million, which eventually I think it will go up to about $1 billion when everything finally takes place. It's a good benefit for the community. In my neighborhood, most of the people say I'm a crazy man. They ask me what if I'm with the project. I say yes, because not one of them I see in this audience, and to hear what is going to take place in the community. They're talking about crimes, and so the Woodbury Commons over there, I don't ever hear there is any major crime. They maybe have shoplifting, disorderly conduct, and so our police force is capable of taking care of that. We have one of the best police forces in the country. It's just some money they need, and the job will be done. Basically, Caesar coming here with a big, deep pocket, it's our time to receive it. But we need help. In my neighborhood, the tax is killing us. And if they could pledge $19 million to the local economy, it's up to the person in charge to spend it more properly. And from what I heard, there are many other adventures where they will invest into make this right for them. If they doesn't make it right for them, they lose. So who is there to lose more than us? There have more to lose than us. So what we need to do, stop putting negativities to this project and think positive. If you put out negative, it will go bad. Think positive. Think of the benefit, what can happen. You understand? What creates good economy is jobs. If you can create jobs, that will rise the value of the own prices. We need help in certain aspects. The property, the other day I went down to my local town office and found out my property went down close to $200,000, and it's not like I have a big equity. When I moved in, me and my wife put close to $200,000 cash. All the money disappeared. We can get up and move. If we get up and move, we're going to join the welfare line. No. We have the opportunity to work, everybody works to see this project with a positive thing to come to benefit for everyone. And work to see that everybody get, I'm a little bit nervous, so maybe you guys get me nervous, but I said this can work for everyone. And just don't put a negative outlook on it. When the colleague was talking about Mississippi, just in the clue, you can't compare Mississippi with Woodbury. This is Woodbury. Caviar with sardine. Come on. This community, we will see the benefit of our politicians and our elected leaders do what's right. I can see a decrease at least 2,000 overall in average property in the neighborhood. Just get together and everybody come together and use our common sense and get this done. Thank you.
Okay, Chuck Scott Perry, Al Jeanette, Elizabeth Levine, and Dan Marshall.
Gentlemen, Chuck Nitchie. I operate a Gulf Station in town and the property owner, business owner, and the taxpayer. And I want to cast my vote in favor of the project. I think we have the number one location. We're dealing with the number one casino operator. And to me, it's a win-win situation. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the majority of the business owners that I have been speaking to are all in favor. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Scott Perry. I'm an Orange County resident and an Orange County business owner. I own Atlas Security Services. And obviously I see a big infusion of capital, $750 million, and many thousands of permanent and part-time jobs. My industry used to be dominated by young people looking to go into law enforcement, or perhaps the armed services, or people returning from those two careers. Now with the economy, I get teachers out of work, I get union electricians out of work. Things are tough. So I see a big benefit in that area. I know there's a concern about the traffic, and I've worked in the security and the traffic in this area. I have people who work in Woodbury Commons, so I know it's a real difficulty. But I also see an opportunity to have a motivated partner where perhaps you've never had one to help you address the situation. The state hasn't done much to this point, and I guess you could continue to hope that they address the situation. But I think that the casino will have to address it. If they're going to have people come into a high-end casino, they're not going to want to wait in that traffic. So for those reasons, I'm strongly in favor of the project, and I just want to thank you.
My name is Al Jeanette, and I'm a 12-year resident of the town of Woodbury, and I am in totally favor of this project to help our town, to give our kids the opportunity to have jobs that they cannot find now before they go to college, when they come out of college. This is opening the doors for a whole new opportunity for this town. This is the golden egg for us to grab, and I think we should grab it real quick. Thank you.
I'm a lifelong resident of the area. I went to school here. This was a junior high. I'm a member of Local 30. And I'd like to bring back your memories of, if you were around at the time, of the arguments given when the Woodbury Commons came in. Thank God it came in, or otherwise Orange County would be in the red. And it gave my daughters an opportunity to work there in the summertime while they were going to school, college. Every morning I get up and I drive 37 miles to work. It'd be nice to drive 2 miles to work. And I too would like to retire in Woodbury. I think it's a no-brainer. It's a gift horse. They're going to fix the traffic problem. It's a win-win. That's all I have to say.
I'm Liz Levine. I'm a resident of Woodbury, and I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by the overwhelming support for the project. I've been reading about it in the papers. I can't say I'm overly involved in it, but I have to say there's pros and cons to every situation. We all know that. Change is never easy for anybody on any level, personal or professional. But I really do believe that a strong partner like Caesars, and I believe it has to be a strong partner like Caesars, will give us invaluable benefits. And, you know, the woman who lost her job in Mississippi, she had 15 years of experience now that you can put on her resume. It's awful that it's going to happen. I don't know the details behind it, but it's going to provide opportunities to our residents that will be invaluable. So thank you very much.
Jean Kirkland, Charlie Corrigan, Samantha Arm.
Oh God, I can tell you that. Thank you.
Amity Haviland, Woodbury. If the casino comes in, I'll give you 4 givens. The givens are, you can look out there, the roads, the rails, the water, the sewage. At the time those doors open, are going to be exactly what you see out there right now. Despite all the talks and everything else like that, many of you have experienced it presently and in the past, with bureaucracy, with legal battles, is not going to happen at the time when they open up. They have a time limit to take care of. If it comes, and this is not so much for this board because you do not have the jurisdiction, but for the individuals out here, the village and the planning boards, that according to the public news reports, they have a 2-year window from the time that they have to get going. What my understanding was the time of award. That they were saying something about after the secret, which is great if that's the case. But if it's due to the time reports, and they have a certain time to set up to be operational, this should not stop us from a proper environmental impact study. An action such as a negative finding would be horrendous for the entire community, and anybody who even thinks about putting it should be boiled in oil. Also, proper detailed planning in accordance with the comprehensive plan must be taken care of. Rash actions and caving into Albany to expedite the actions, if it happens, will only hurt us in the current and future legal manners with outside interests and communities, which we are already experiencing today. If variances are allowed, we should do it for sound reasons that can be totally defended. I'm particularly talking about the height of our buildings. That being said, I recommend affirmation of this project. Fears like the rumor that I had heard of a casino doubling our police force won't happen unless members such as yourselves let it happen. And knowing many of you here and knowing the types of boards that we've had, I don't expect to see that. Crime should not increase, another rumor. Crime should not increase exponentially. Caesars will have their own security, and that will effectively augment our police department. And the bottom line is that there's a chance that the eventual income will outweigh any expenses. Bottom line again, I support the agreement to have a casino here and let us play the game.
Good evening, my name is Ryan Maxwell from Howard Mills. I think the important thing to take a look at right now is to take a step back and see exactly the whole picture here. I think it's important to be a good neighbor. I think the one gentleman mentioned from Harriman that they're not being represented, they're not being spoken to, they're not being included. The same thing with the folks on the road, because 17 is basically going to be a divide for this project. All the activities are going to be down there, the traffic for the tourists coming in is going to be diverted down there. The people that are going to work there, the 3,000 jobs, where are they going to commute from? They're going to come from the north, from Newbury, from New Windsor. They're going to come down 32, which, as most of us know, certain points of the day you can't even make a left turn onto. So that's something to take into consideration here. Folks coming down from 17, because the folks in Sullivan County, Ulster County, those folks up there are not going to get any work. They're going to come down here looking for work. They're going to look for housing. They're going to look for locations to live close to the casino, because a lot of these people are going to make very low wages. And they're going to need to live close by because they're not going to be able to afford a car. They're going to have to walk to work. Like we see a lot of people walking down the Commons, down 32, to go into the Commons. These are things that need to be taken into consideration in reviewing this whole project. I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes. I think there's a lot of work that needs to go into the background of what we need and what's going to happen. And I think it's important to talk to the folks in Harriman, the folks in Monroe, and ask them as well. Because in the end, even though we're going to get a lot of revenue in, we're going to have a lot of expenses going on. The school district, we're going to see a lot of need for special services, a lot of other additional costs coming in as the area grows. Regardless of those projects, they're not just going to be the rate at which it grows and how we're able to compensate for that. And I think there's important things to kind of take into consideration as we go down to this. And again, I live on the north end of town, so I'm kind of at the front end of some of the traffic coming through, and it kind of thins out by the time I get past Woodbury. But think about those traffic and all that stuff coming down. There's no widening of 32 as we come down through Highland Mills. I'm pretty sure we also see J's get taken out so we can widen the road to get more people down to work at the bottom of the location. Same thing for the folks that travel to the city, that commute. They're going to want to get to the train station in and out. You know, there's a lot more traffic going down that way. There's already problems with people trying to park for the buses down there. How they're going to be impacted. There's a lot of other things that we got to kind of think about. Not just the money coming in, but exactly what the stresses are going to be on the infrastructure and where those stresses are going to come from. So please take that into consideration. Understand that now you all have the upper hand in the conversation. Once you say yes, you no longer have the upper hand in the conversation. It then goes to the state. They're okay. These guys agree money at $8.5 billion. They're going to get through whatever they need to get through. The state's going to want their money. The county's going to want their money. We're not going to have any leverage left in this conversation. I recommend that you get as much deal on the front. What they're offering right now, what they're all pointing at, are state minimums. State minimums. This is what they have to do, minimums. Think about getting something above that. And look out for the community, look out for opportunities, and look out for the stresses in the infrastructure. Thank you.
Jim Brennan, Woodbury resident. I guess I missed that where the Kool-Aid was that everybody drank that's here, because it seems like the majority of people here are really for this. I can understand the people that own the businesses and the shops, the union people. Myself, I'm a fourth-generation union man. My son's a union man. I live in Woodbury, but they're over almost 30 years. Vehemently against this. Nobody seems to be caring about all the transients that are going to be coming through our town. Route 32, 2 o'clock in the morning, some gang member who just came from the casino and lost their money stops at a gas station, and your 16-year-old daughter's in there getting gas after she just came from her job or coming home from college. And guess what happens? He's mad, your daughter's in a bad place, your son's in a bad place. This is not the kind of thing we need in this town. Thank you.
Colleen Pierce, Marco Scalia, Rod Suffren, Stephen Davia, and Melanie Richards.
Hi, my name is Colleen Pierce. I'm not a very willing public speaker. I'm nervous as hell, but I think I have to get my point across. I'm a business owner for 32 years here. I own Jay's Deli. I've lived in town for 40 years. So I'm looking at this from both sides of it. Sure, business owners are for it. The Chamber of Commerce is for it. Some of the residents are not for it. I speak to so many people every day, in and out of the store. Most of the people who aren't for it, don't know what it's about. I'm very, very disappointed that there's no one here tonight. This place is empty. I think the people in our town, if they're concerned about it, need to find out what it's about. We have empty storefronts. We do need a boost to our economy, but that's not the whole thing. I think I'm too nervous. I have to apologize, so I have to take a deep breath and think. Place that is in the running to get a casino. This is not a slot in the box of slots casino. This is a luxurious destination where people are going to go, and it's not like Monticello or Yonkers, okay? It's a destination casino. It's not like Las Vegas where you're going to have flashing lights that say casino near the road. You may not even see the casino from the road. It's going to have a long roadway in with trees. These people are not fooling. They're not like playing around. They are the number one. They're number one in the world of casinos. They didn't choose Woodbury because they like us. They don't want to help us. Okay? They didn't come here and say, Woodbury needs our help. We want to give them money. We want to donate money and help them out with things. They chose the spot because it's the best spot in New York State for them to make money. The more money they make, the more money we will get out of it. If they don't stand up to their promises and make it work, it won't happen. We have town engineers and you guys and town boards that will make sure they do things in the right way. I don't think they're trying to. It's not like a casino that's like going to draw big bad people to it. It's different. I've spent 32 years building up a reputation in town. I would not be in favor of this if I didn't think it was something that would benefit us and something that we really need. So if you don't look at everything, like just don't say no. Look at everything, see what there is. I think we need this. I think everyone who talked said almost everything I was going to say. All the pros and cons. There aren't too many cons. They're mostly all pros. It's basically all I can say is I'm 100% for it. There are a lot of ifs, but the presentation tonight was much better than the presentation the other night. There seemed to be a lot more to it. I think they worked hard to answer some of our questions. Some people are afraid of it, yes, but I don't think this is something we should be afraid of. I think this is a company that wants to make money for them, but they also want to help the community that they come in. And I think if we don't look into it and say yes to the opportunity, if you think it's right, I think we're really stupid. I think we're missing the boat. I think they're good people. I just have a really good feeling that they will help our community.
Central Valley. Been born and raised here. I plan on raising my family here as well. I think this casino will be a great idea. I think they will definitely give back to the community as opposed to our neighbors taking from the community. That's all I say.
Good evening. My name is Melanie Richards. I've been a resident for over 17 years. When I started out, I commuted 110 miles a day. I didn't pay much attention to what was happening locally. I was a city kid. It had no relevance to me. But I moved up here because it seemed like a really good place to live, buy a home, and write my book. So I had an employer who was terrified that living up here, I'd give up my job in the city. So I commuted those first 9 years. And I know what it's like to be a union kid. You know, both my parents were in union. You know, I lived with a retired first responder. I understand people's fears. But now I'm a business owner in your community. I'm on a board of Safe Homes of Orange County, which is a domestic violence agency. That gentleman spoke about gangs. If he had any idea that in Newburgh they're dealing with human trafficking, he might participate and volunteer for a board. I now have a vested interest in my local community. And a week ago, I wasn't in support of this project. I had no interest. It's the same thing. People have fears. As a business owner, we need the tourism, we need the revenue, we need the opportunity. Parents need hope that their kids will actually graduate and find a place where they can get a job with a company that might pay back for education. From the domestic violence perspective, I know it's not important to other people, but I happen to be on that board. It's 15 miles away. The gangs are not in Woodbury. They're 15 miles away. But sir, they still live there. The gentleman who mentioned Tunica, I looked it up on my phone. They have 3 properties in Tunica. Some of their employees will go work for the other casinos. As a business owner, you have a location that's not profitable, you close it. It makes perfect sense. We have no other opportunity for this revenue. You have nobody else who's coming with any sort of hope. Where's that money coming from? And there's no guarantee unless you say yes. Then it's an opportunity to return to a place of hope. And hopefully a safe place where you can continue to raise your family. But if you don't say yes, if you keep listening to the no's and the fears, there is no perfect relationship, there is no perfect solution. This is an opportunity with 2 caring business partners. Those would be the type of people I would choose to go into business with. So please, think about this. Do whatever you can, but get those commuters who are commuting 110 miles each day. If you don't get them out to vote, it's really not going to matter. So we need to go home and talk to a neighbor, talk to whoever we need to. But thank you for listening.
Yeah, this is the last one. Yeah. Evan Dorcas, Stephen Ronaldo, Daniel Vaughn, and John Marinowski. And that's all I have.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Ronaldo. I live in Highland Mills. I've been a resident here for over 20 years, and I'm part of a business in Central Valley. I work here for the past 5 years, and I'm in total support 100% of the Caesars Palace project.
My name is Evan Dorcas. I live and work here. I'm totally for it. I'm not going to waste anybody's time. Thanks.
Daniel Vaughn. I've been here for well over 20 years. I have a business in Central Valley, and I'm also a real estate agent. I've been to plenty of Caesars properties. Never once have I seen a gang member or any kind of ruthless thugs. Nothing but well-dressed, nice people, no drunks. I don't see a problem. I think it'll be very good for the community. Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
I have nobody on the list, but there's some that just came in.
I will. Yeah, okay.
Hello, Board. How are you? Vito Scalita, 28 residents, 28-year residents from Woodbury, 43 years, small family business in the Mount Road Woodbury area. Brought up 4 kids, went through Mount Road Woodbury, 3 of them graduated college. Coming back, we are now in the process of expanding our business so that they could continue on and stay in the area. You know, there's a lot of people that are for this project. There's a lot of people against the project. And I'm sure they're all heavily weighed and thought out. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have a giver than a taker.
Okay, before I go back to the board, if there's anybody in the audience who would like to come forward and address the board, feel free to do so now.
Thank you, Mr. Burke, and members of the council. Appreciate it. My name is Richard Walls. My family and I live in Central Valley. Prior to moving to the Monroe Woodbury area, I had the privilege of serving on the Planning Board, the Community Development Board, the Master Plan Committee, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I understand the process that you're going through. I've been there and done that. As a resident of Woodbury, I'm in favor of the proposal that Caesars Gaming has presented to the town board. I feel that they will be a good neighbor and they will add to our community. I like the location of the southernmost tip of Woodbury, the least intrusive of the majority of the residents. I see them as a contributor, not a game changer. They have already stated that they will finance the water system that's needed, along with its effluent. They will finance and build their own roads and be a major contributor, working with the DOT to alleviate the problems that we currently have with traffic. Years ago, when the new high school was being planned, I sat on a committee to look at its perspectives. Have we forgotten that 6,000 plus students would have to use a 2-lane roadway as a means of evacuation should the emergency ever arise? Dunderberg Road empties into a 2-lane connector road in both directions. The state of New York doesn't think that this is a problem, as it should be a priority. I know as residents and parents we haven't forgotten, and I'm sure Caesars would be a part of the solution. Caesars' program of employees volunteering in the community will only enhance the quality of life for all of us. They are an industry leader of the Hiring Heroes program for our veterans, and a stellar program could be brought right here to our doorstep. I know that we as a community face challenges that jeopardize our identity and the lifestyle that we have come so used to. Our school system attracts families from surrounding counties. Others are envious of our small-town atmosphere that is a throwback of an era long gone. And our parks and recreation facilities are second to none. We owe all of you and your predecessors a huge debt of gratitude for securing these wonderful features that we as residents have had in Woodbury. I can't think of another developer or project that offers a what can we give attitude instead of a what can we take concession. This one project, one company, has the resources to ensure that Woodbury can secure its future lifestyle the way we want it to be. We, the residents, can maintain and control the destiny of Woodbury right here tonight. I urge all of you to vote unanimously to approve this project, join with the village board, and send a clear message to our state senator and assemblyman that Woodbury is the only place a casino need be considered in Orange County. Have them bring Caesar's proposal to Albany for review and get a green light to start. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Scott Shippey. I'm a Central Valley resident. I'm in favor of moving forward. There are no guarantees. There are no perfect solutions. The only guarantee is if a no vote doesn't move forward, there is no other opportunity. So when you vote, what's option B against the proposal on the table? Because if you vote no, please defend and say, well, we voted no, not because of the preservation of our way of life, but there was a better option on the table. So right now, we're lucky. Opportunity knocks. Vote yes. Continue forward. There's no guarantee we'll get it. If you vote no, there's a guarantee we won't get it. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to come forward and make comments to the board? All right, board members, any final comments you'd like to make before comments about Frank? Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to first thank everybody that came up and voiced their opinion, whether it was for or against. We as a town board do appreciate to hear what you have to say. I'd like to thank Caesars for being here tonight and making their presentation. I'll be brief, but the thing that I find most positive in all that's happened is from the very first time we met with this proposal and we met with the Flowers, there wasn't much that they gave back to us because they didn't really know our community. They came here, they made a presentation. I'm not saying it was a bad presentation, but it wasn't what we expected. And over the last few weeks, we have been in contact with Caesars, their representatives, and as you saw tonight, they addressed many of our issues, which makes me feel a lot better knowing that we're dealing with a corporation and a company that is actually listening to what we have to say. We have a Woodbury Commons in our community that had an opportunity to fix that 131 ramp when they wanted to get this new approval of building all this new parking and everything else. And you know what? They didn't do the right thing. We have to depend on the state, and they're not doing the right thing. Here we have a company that is coming in and addressing an area that they may not even have anything to do with. Because if they get their ramp down the road by Arden Hill, the 131 isn't an issue for them, but they're willing to do the work and to make it right. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to thank Caesars for listening to what we've had to say, addressing our needs and our concerns, and moving forward. And I look forward to being a partner with Caesars. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank Caesars because I agree with Frank. When we first met with them, there was very little details. And tonight, there was a lot more details, and I appreciate that. When they say they want to finalize the details, I'm still interested because there are still things that I want to see. Things such as, more about the giveaway promotions. Are they going to utilize our local artisans and dealerships, the restaurant partners and the dining comps, okay? The entertainment with the local performers and the local bands. Hopefully these are things that you're considering. The local design and construction companies, including the local attractions and activities that we have on your website. And also, the one question I do have is the parking for the employees. Will it be on site? Or will they be forced to park at a location and be transported into the site?
Yeah, the parking garage that we described earlier has enough parking for our guests and our employees. So my expectation would be a vast majority of the time people would be on site. And I only say a vast majority because in our different properties there are occasions, not very often, when there's a big event or something where some of the employees will park off site and be shuttled in, but that's the exception. So here we sized it so that people would all park in the same garages, I guess.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
I'd just like to thank the good people of Woodbury for coming out and expressing their views. We appreciate it. It's been very interesting, and I hope more people will come out to all the meetings that we have, the village board, the town board, the planning board. I mean, take part, people. This is your town. You deserve the best.
I think that takes care of the program this evening. We did it almost in 3 hours. Just a reminder, for those of you who would like to submit written comments, they should be done to the town board, and written comments will be accepted until 4 p.m. on June 13, 2014. On behalf of the board, we would like to thank all those who came out, took the time to come out, and for their very interesting comments. And therefore, I'm going to, if there's nobody else, one last shot, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. I'm also going to ask for a motion. I ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Good evening.